Everyone. Hello, hello, hello. What's up? Happy Thursday. Dr. Tamika here, and I am, been a long day today. Had a lot going on, but I'm happy to be here with you. Hopefully, your day is going well. Your week has been fantabulous. And on today, as we've been discussing over the past couple of weeks about hormones, I was just in Arizona for my friend's birthday. And one of the things that came up was the topic of hormones. And as I was doing a live in Arizona, what's up, Nancy? One of them were like, okay, I need to go back and listen to your the live you just did because I think I'm experiencing this right now. So I figured, why not continue with this topic of hormonal health? Why balance is so important for women, and I bring this up because it's impacting so many people around. And hormonal health is all about balance. Okay. So when I talk about this, I want you to understand it's all about balance. But achieving that right balance can be a challenge at times, particularly for women in midlife. So one of the most, one of the most common examples I can bring up is that those women whose estrogen and progesterone is off kilter, they get a wide range of symptoms, and it could be almost debilitating where they like maybe so emotional or unable to do things and just feel off. I mean, the battling heavy periods, disruptive PMS, fatigue, brain fog, you name it, sex drive out the window, wearing your granny panties so they stay away from you, whatever the case may be, that hormonal health, it just wreaks havoc on you. And so how can balance be brought back? How can we get balance? How can we reestablish balance is what I'm trying to say. I think it's important how we talk about the influence of hormones. So hormones role in your health. In fact, there are, and I'm looking at this, and those of you on Facebook, thank you. There are over 50 different types of hormones. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Over 50 different types of hormones. And I am excited to say this because people don't realize that they really bother you as a whole. I mean, it's your endocrine glands that are releasing these hormones. And so if we think that there's 50 different types of hormones, and it involves your pituitary gland, your pineal gland, your thymus, your thyroid, your adrenal gland, your pancreas, for men and women, your testicles, your ovaries. I mean, they're impacting so many different areas because they're involved in all these different glands. So when these hormones are released from these endocrine glands, they travel to specific receptor sites and they lock in and they send a message to a specific location to perform a specific action. So what does that actually mean? And like, just break it down. Well, they influence your maturity and growth, your appetite, your mood, your sexual function, hunger, sleep, metabolism of foods, cognitive ability, so many different things. I mean, if we look at this as a whole, hormones are in tandem with each other, right? They are working side by side, influencing one another, saying, hey, if you do this, I'll do that. And when they're not communicating or they're off kilter, well, they cause problems. So I want to bring up today that there's a link between estrogen and progesterone. All right. Estrogen and progesterone are so valuable to us. I don't even think people realize, like, when your progesterone's off, when your estrogen's off, you really will know the difference. So those of you who are tuning in now, we're really going to talk about why balance is so important for women as it relates to hormones. So when we think about this link between estrogen and progesterone, they have complementary functions. So estrogen is more of the energizing of the two. It helps with memory, libido, mood, sleep, and so many other functions. It helps protect with our bone density. So if your estrogen is off, it wouldn't be surprising to find out that your bone density is down. And estrogen helps with youthful skin and hair and mental sharpness, and even it helps with cholesterol levels. So when we think about being off kilter, if our estrogen's off kilter, then some of those things where we're reaching for other products to make our skin better, our hair longer, whatever the case may be, or thicker, it may just be because your estrogen is off. And so when we think about estrogen, the estrogen levels rise in the follicular phase, which is the first half of the menstrual cycle. And that's up to the point of ovulation. Now, progesterone comes on board after ovulation. This is called the luteal phase. And it's more of a calming, has more of a calming function. And then it peaks midway through the luteal phase, and then it drops off before our menstrual cycle kicks in. And this sudden drop in progesterone can cause these premenstrual syndrome. And, you know, those of you who have experienced premenstrual syndrome, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But progesterone helps, bring into balance the effects of estrogen. And it plays a role in the uterine lining during the menstruation, and it helps regulate the timing of menstruation. So when we think about this, the two of them, estrogen and progesterone, play a vital role with each other, and they must be balanced. And having inadequate levels of one or the other is not only problematic overall, but it's like when we think about it, it can be overall problematic to your overall health. So when we think about mood and gaining weight and so forth, that's one aspect of it. But when they aren't balanced, we can have different things like estrogen dominance, right? So estrogen dominance, that's when our hormones are off kilter. Without the influence of progesterone, that estrogen basically kicks in and it causes so many unfortunate symptoms. When I say unfortunate, because when you're dealing with imbalance in your estrogen, you really notice it. You can have your PMS out of whack. You can have mood swings. You can have heavy periods, menstrual cramps, blood sugar problems, bloating, fatigue, and then anger management issues. So, they may refer to you as itchy with a B in front of it. And it may just be because your estrogen is just out of whack and is not in balance with the progesterone. And yes, you're right. If your body's not able to metabolize, especially your liver, accordingly, then it can cause even more challenges in your health. You can also have increased risk of breast and uterine and ovarian cancers when we think about this estrogen dominance. So what causes this? Like, why is this happening? Well, there's a lot of different factors that we have to take into consideration. In part, and other parts of our body can contribute to estrogen dominance. Poor liver function. So Nancy, you're always like right where I'm at. I'm like getting ready to go into that. So poor liver function can definitely help cause an estrogen dominance. So what happens there is the liver helps eliminate excess estrogen. So if the liver is not working well, then we'll hold on to more, and that can cause even more problems. Other influence on estrogen and progesterone, particularly insulin and cortisol. So when these hormones are disrupted, this whole cascade of events with estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, and insulin can be impacted. So we want to make sure that we get our blood sugar under control. Chronic stress can lead to harmful hormonal fluctuations, along with a poor diet, can cause problems with digesting our foods and can cause imbalances, especially during the perimenopausal years. And those of us who've experienced polycystic ovarian syndrome are so very vulnerable when it comes to these age-related fluctuations. When we move on, one of the things I find interesting about a lot of my female clients, and maybe you yourself or someone, when we get a little older, we start to pay a little bit more attention to how our skin looks. We're concerned about we need more collagen, or we're putting this on our face and that on our face. Well, sometimes estrogen dominance is not caused by estrogen itself. There's something called xenohormones, which are compounds that mimic properties of estrogen, okay? And when we think about that, they lead to further hormonal imbalances. And these products may contain xenohormones, including plastics, foods in particular, pesticides, factory farmed meat, car exhaust, emulsifiers in our shampoos and our other beauty products. And so this is an issue. So I see your question is, what about testosterone with these two other hormones? Yes, I do want to talk about testosterone. So I'll bring that up, Anita, later. Let me just get through these and I'll go back to testosterone because that's essential. So when we're thinking about sex hormones, we definitely want to think about estrogen and progesterone, but you don't want to forget about testosterone. I just was focusing on today on balancing or looking into, estrogen and progesterone. So when we think about how to balance estrogen and progesterone, one of the first things that comes to mind for me is balancing your stress. Stress is when I've talked to so many people since the beginning of this year in my practice and how they're being impacted by the different things that's going on in their lives, whether it's financially, it's emotional, or dealing with work, or dealing with things going on in their home. So many different people are separated now, or having a new baby in the house, or new responsibilities. There's so much going on. And so they're like under this stress. So what do we need to do? We need to reduce the stress. So sometimes that fight or flight response can wreak havoc because we're just staying up there. So we need to work more on our rest and digest and bring things back into calmness. And that can also help reduce and reducing that stress can also help bring that balance of estrogen and progesterone. Sleep. This is another hot topic. I'm having people as young as 23 years of age in my practice who are having trouble sleeping. So hormonal imbalance can cause sleep disturbances. And so at the same time, you need to, as we think about hormones, we need to get adequate sleep. And so looking into the different factors that can be impacting your sleep, whether that's we want to go back to, are you having problems staying asleep or falling asleep? Are you having challenges? Are you having pain? Are you having issues with not enough protein on board? What's actually impacting you that's causing you not to get enough sleep? Another thing is maintaining a healthy liver and gut. Your metabolism of estrogen occurs in the liver, right? So it's imperative to keep an optimum functioning liver. So reducing exposure to toxins and minimizing alcohol. Alcohol, we won't even go there too long, but I'll get back to it a little bit more, but having probiotics on board, fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir can also help maintain good bacteria in your microbiome. And what's up, Wendy? What's up, Kendall? Fiber consumption also triggers the production of more bacteria. And so that increase in fiber can also help move things through the digestive tract. And so help get rid of the excess and cause more of a balance with estrogen and progesterone. And then you also want to eat for hormone health. I'm like, what am I saying? What do you mean by eat for hormonal health? I'm glad you asked. In the traditional Western diet of highly processed foods, there's high sugar foods that are linked to higher estrogen production. So when we think about this, sometimes what could be more beneficial for some is eating more of a diet in contrast to that, like a Mediterranean diet, which has been shown to reduce estrogen levels. The Mediterranean diet centers around whole grains, brightly colored vegetables, olive oil, fish, green leafy veggies, kale, spinach. These things are beneficial to our health. So when we think about eating for hormonal health, stay away from the traditional SAD diet, which is the standard American diet, and get more of like a Mediterranean style diet. Protein is so very essential. I can't emphasize that enough. Protein is essential for the production of amino acids, which are the building blocks of our hormones, right? So there's evidence that has been presented that shows even the vegetarian sources of protein are effective in regulating estrogen. So those of you who are my vegans or vegetarians, getting that protein on board can definitely help regulate your hormonal balance and hormones imbalance. Okay. Now, the thing that's important to bring up here, you want to avoid meat. Those of you who are eating meat, my carnivores, we want to pay attention to avoiding meats that have been exposed to pesticides and artificial hormones. So you want to make sure, I would highly emphasize organic lean meats, because you just don't want to eat, because just think about whatever that animal ate, you're going to eat the same thing. So if it's eating food that's been developed with hormones, as that animal digests it and they gets ready, prepared and cooked for you, you're going to eat those hormones as well. So I'm going to say and emphasize, be aware of what you're putting into your body. Also, omega-3 fatty acids help regulate insulin and cortisol and reduce inflammation, as well as helps with your skin. So when we're thinking about eating for our health, for our hormonal health, make sure you get your protein on board. Make sure that you had a call come through. Sorry. All right, there we go. Back on board. Make sure that you get your protein. Make sure you're eating more of a Mediterranean style diet if you just need some kind of idea. And then also consider omega-3 fatty acids. So when we're thinking about this, just a second, let's go back and forth in here for me. Just a second, Instagram. Let's see, let's go back. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go out and come back in. I don't know what happened over here on Instagram, but we are going to save it and come back in. All right. All right, there we go. We're back in the mix. Okay, so going back to, sorry about that, my Instagram people, I went in and went out, but I'm back. So if we're going back thinking about this, reducing stress, right? As we think about ways to balance estrogen and progesterone, reducing stress, getting enough sleep, maintaining a healthy liver and gut. Also looking into eating for our hormonal health. And so now when we think about eating for our hormonal health, I want you to be aware of staying away from the standard American diet, eating more of like a Mediterranean style diet. And those of you who are my patients, I kind of divvy that up a little bit more. So don't hold only on to what I'm saying right here, but stick with what I'm doing with you as we work one-on-one. Omega-3 fatty acids also help to balance out our hormones, and it's also good for our skins. It's good to balance out cortisol and insulin. So when we're thinking about omega-3 fatty acids, consider chia seeds, avocados, nuts, fatty fish, salmon are all very good sources. Other ways we can improve our hormones is receptivity with exercise. Let me repeat that. Improve our hormonal receptivity with exercise. So there's been research that has pointed out regular exercise can make your body more receptive to the messages that are carried by hormones. So when we think about getting our body healthy, I want you to understand that if we think about, okay, well, I really don't want to exercise, I don't like exercise. Let's just say we want to get our hormones more receptive. So how do we get them more receptive to the hormones that are floating out there, sending out messages? Get up and move. So we want things to be moving and talking in the right way. Also, last but not least, if we're talking about hormones and we're talking about hormonal balance and we're trying to get you in a situation where it works for you, then I would consider where you're like, I've tried exercise, I am eating for hormone health, I am working on having a healthy liver and gut, I'm getting enough sleep, I'm reducing my exercises, and I still feel like I'm a little off. If that's the case, remember, there's another tool in the toolbox that's available to you. You may want to consider replacement. The decision to start hormone replacement therapy can be very complex because there's so many different factors to consider. You have to figure out a person's age, how's their overall health, risk factors. Do you have to take this the rest of your life? What does this mean? I mean, there's so many questions that come up as it relates to hormones. But I think it's important that you understand hormone replacement with bioidentical hormones is something that you should be aware of. Bioidentical hormones are hormones that are derived from plants and are identical to the hormones that are made in our body. So when we think about getting hormone replacement therapy, I want you to understand it is a tool in your toolbox. Traditional hormone replacement therapy was made with synthetic hormones. The hormones I'm talking about come from a compounded pharmacy, and they are made from plants that are going to be put together in such a way that it's very much like the hormones your body naturally produces. So when we think about all of this and getting back into balance, consider bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And if that's just not your cup of tea, then we'll have to step back a little bit further because there are some supplements that can help regulate your hormones. And what I mean by that is there's some herbs that are out there that some people have been quite successful with. And in my particular practice, I have women and men on both. I have some women in my practice who won't touch a hormone, and I have other women and men in my practice who will touch hormones. So it's just a matter of finding out what works best for you. Not everything works the same for everybody. So here I've given you some options, right? We've talked about reducing stress. We've talked about getting enough sleep. We've talked about maintaining a healthy liver and gut. We've talked about eating for hormonal health. We've talked about improving our hormone receptivity with exercise. We've even talked about considering replacement with BHRT, which is bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And if that's someone sounds like you, that you want to get into, looking into your hormones, make sure you partner with someone who is familiar with hormone replacement therapy and hormonal balance, because you just don't want to be out there with someone who's just playing with it. This is your health. You do enough research on Google, research hormones, research supplements, research who's out there who can help you with hormonal health. If I can be of service to you, research me, see my background, see what's going on with me. But if I'm not the person, find someone who can advocate for you. Remember, you know your body better than anybody else. And if you're dealing with some estrogen dominance, or you're thinking your progesterone's off, or maybe it's your testosterone. And thinking back to the question that was raised earlier, testosterone is a hormone that a lot of women and men do seem to have a decrease in. And ways to notice that you have a decrease in testosterone can be you feel your sex drive is gone. You have your orgasms are like non-existent. You may also experience some brain fog. You may be gaining weight. Testosterone helps in all these areas. Testosterone helps with brain fog. It helps with muscle tone. It helps with burning fat. It helps with libido. It helps with orgasm, and it helps with hot flashes as well. So for some women, I will start them off with a little bit of testosterone. For those who are ready to jump into bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, I'll start them off with a little pinch of testosterone. And I say a little pinch because when we think about hormone replacement therapy, I want you to understand this. In medicine, it's very important that you start low and go slow. So starting out with a little bit, and if that works for you, great. But if you need a little bit more, then we add a little bit more to the party, because we have some range, we have some movement to make. We have to figure out what's the right dose for you. I don't know what the right dose is for you, but I do know we're going to start low and go slow. So as you think about getting back into balance, as you think about what's going on with your hormonal health, why is balance so very important? Just think about this. Pay attention to your body. Take small little steps towards making progress. Whether you're dealing with challenges as it relates to sex, hunger, mood, cognition, stress, appetite, whatever the case may be, take one of the things I've said today and just implement. Whether that's having a little bit of ways to reducing your stress, if that's seeing ways to increase your getting better sleep, if that's maintaining a healthier liver and gut, if that's eating a better hormonally balanced meal, if that's putting in fats, good fat and protein, and making sure your diet is more clean and not the standard American diet, which is called the SAD diet, or if it's improving your receptivity with exercise, or if it's considering replacement, whatever the case may be, I've given you different options for you just to try one. Just try one. I see you, Mary Ellen. Yes, I just told all your secrets. Just try a little bit, just a little bit. Google is a wonderful resource. It gives you so much information. My thing for you today is you can take the information you have on Google, and now you just need a guide to make sure you're implementing it the correct way. So I hope that I have helped you along the way. I hope I provided you with some insight. I've touched a little bit on testosterone. So on today, as you go through the rest of your day, just ponder, what can I do to improve my hormonal health? Not that you have to, but that you get to. Until next week, I'll see you Thursday, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. I am so privileged to be with each and every one of you. I thank you from the depths of my heart. As I speak to you, I often say I'm speaking to myself. So as I say, improve, get up and exercise more. As I say, consider replacement. As I say, eat for hormonal health, eat for healthier liver and gut, get enough sleep, reduce your stress. I am speaking to myself. So practice what I preach. As I put it out here, I'm saying to you, my exercise activity has increased. I went for a horseback ride the other day for 4 hours with my crazy friend. So that was definitely, I'm stepping outside I definitely think that's enough movement. Not saying that you do that. If I can get you to do 20 minutes of exercise, even if that's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, do it. Just do it. Work on you. Again, not that you have to, but that you get to. It's my privilege again to say thank you for joining me. Those of you, we had a little break on Instagram. Those of you here on Facebook, woohoo, we made it through. And I'll talk with you soon. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Woo! My Facebook people, so glad you are here with me. What a wonderful day. Bye.